Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. Let's talk about makeup. Okay, today I am doing my update for ColourPan, and we're going to talk about the things I chose last month, how well I did, and then we're going to pick some new products. I'm really excited about the pick new products part. We're actually going to do it at random this time. So the products that I had last time were, I should have them here, right? I I did no preparation for this, apparently. Hold, please. Okay, I have 5 items that I chose last month to work on. Relatively low uses on usage goals on everything, just because I wasn't sure how I was going to get through it, how I was going to get through everything with the other projects I was also joining. So let's see how I did. So for my eyeshadow palette, I will be picking these at random from now on, but I chose the Boudoir Noir palette. This is the color story. I'm going to have a little cut in with how it looked before and how it looks now, but I really doubt there's going to be any visible change because I had it in for 5 uses and I have used it 5 times. So this palette overall is quite a bit warmer than I really go for, although I did find that the olive look that I get out of this, the olive gold look that I go for, that I think of the most often when I go for this palette, I like it a lot better when I add this pressed glitter. I really enjoy that pressed glitter. I don't always enjoy pressed glitters. As a matter of fact, I rarely enjoy pressed glitters, but I like this one. There's just something very unique and multi-dimensional about that glitter, and I really did enjoy it. So I used everything in this palette at least once. I'm just going to point out the ones to you that I used more than once. And I used, let's see, I used everything on this top row more than once, which is understandable because of how, neutral it is. You can see my window there. So I used this one twice. I used this one 3 times. I used this one twice, and then I used this one on the end 5 times. Then I used this one here, this gold one here. I used that 3 times. And I also used this green one, this olive, the mid-tone olive here. I used that 3 times. I used this one 4 times. That's great little mid-tone transition shade there. And I used this one 3 times. So that's the darker olive. And everything else I used once. So I feel like I got pretty good comprehensive use out of this palette. Overall, my feelings on this palette, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. There is a neutral, really easy neutral eye that I can get out of this, but when I'm going for that, this isn't the palette that I think of. The olive look that I get out of this is pretty. I do like it better with that little pop of glitter on the lid, but I'm not sure if that's not something that I can't get more easily out of my avocado toast palette from BH Cosmetics or the child palette from Colourpop. So I might have to stack this palette up against those palettes and see how comparable the olive gold eye look that I get out of them is and which ones I prefer to use. And I don't know. I'm thinking this might be a chopping block palette for me. Might have to pass it on to somebody else. Next, I had my Soul Body Bronzer in for 5 uses. This is in the shade Medium Dark. I used it 5 times. This is definitely a warmer bronzer for me, and I think I'm probably going to enjoy it more in the summertime. So you'll probably see more of this one come summer, but I did get, I actually got 7 uses on that one. So a little bit over my goal of 5 uses. I also had this blush here. This is called Hot to Touch. And I had this one in for 5 uses, and I ended up using it 6 times. This actually has a much more transparent base than some of the other blushes that I have swatched with this very hot pink, kind of hot cool pink. Hot cool. If English wasn't my first language, I'd be like, what is she saying? Anyway, This kind of hot pink color that was all the rage last year, I have swatched a few different formulas of this. I actually have another one, a Lancome one, that is similar to this, that has a lot more of a white base to it. This has a very transparent base, which actually makes it very wearable on the cheeks. It does not come off this shade on my face. It is very pretty, very wearable. Although I'm wondering if the transparency of this base makes this particular blush disappointing to anybody with a much deeper complexion than mine. Because, well, I don't know, a heavy white base on that one, on a heavy white base wouldn't be flattering on a darker skin tone either. But maybe the lack of pigmentation, because this is kind of a sheerer formula, I find, maybe the lack of pigmentation is a little disappointing to anybody with a much darker skin tone than I have. But I brought that in for 5 uses and I used it 6 times. The 2 that I will not be rolling out, these are in for the long haul. This is my Super Shock blush in Drop of a Hat. I used it, let me see, 11 times. I probably would have used it more times, but I had like 3 other blushes to use this last month, but this is what it's looking like. I had pan on it when I brought it into this project, but I will show you, I'll cut in a little bit and I'll show you what it looked like before and what it looks like now. I actually feel like there's a lot of visible progress, but I'm not sure how much of that is just product that's getting pushed to the sides. Who knows? We'll see how much longer it takes me to finish this up. I know Super Shocks are not the hardest thing to use up. There's not a ton of product in here. How much product is in here? 4.2 grams. Anyway, I think it's totally reasonable for me to use this up within the next year, and this is going to stay in my ColourPan project until it is completely gone. Likewise, I am intending to completely use up my Colourpop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Champagne Mommy. And this, I like a rookie. I don't think I took a starting photo, and I also didn't mark it in any way. Whoopsies. But it probably doesn't matter because I only used it 4 times. My son got a hold of it. He pulled it off my vanity, and it was missing. It was AWOL for most of the last few weeks. So yeah, only 4 uses on this one, but we're keeping her in until she's gone. And I will try to keep better track of my progress for the rest of this month and into March than I did for the last few weeks. Okay, so new products. I am going to be choosing at random one Colourpop eyeshadow palette. I am trying to cycle every single one of my 14 Colourpop eyeshadow palettes through this project this year, which means there's going to be at least 2 months where I have to double up. Okay, I've got this little wheel here. It's got all of my Colourpop eyeshadow palettes in it, including or not including the Boudoir Noir. I've pulled that one out, and I will pull them out as I continue to use them. But I have included my Dream Street palette, which is in my year-long Pan That palette. Well, listen, come on. If I can double up for a month to help me hit pan on that palette, I'm going to do it. But we'll see what we get, okay? So we're just going to spin this. Menage a Moi. That's actually the palette that I picked up. I'm pretty sure I bought them at the same time. Boudoir Noir and Menage a Moi. It's a really pretty color story. I'm kind of excited about that. Also, it pairs in really nicely with the palette that I just pulled for Deck of Panning. If you have not seen that yet. I don't know if that's up yet. I think that's going up before this one. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to use that palette. I really enjoy that one. Okay, so that's the eyeshadow palette. I am going to spin for 2 more products for a total of 5 among my other products that are not eyeshadow palettes from Colourpop. So I have actually quite a few of these. So we're going to spin for 2 of these. Please don't be a blush or a lip gloss. Jelly Much. It's one of my Jelly Much eyeshadows in Big Ego. Well, that's exciting. I have not gotten much use out of my Jelly Much shadows. I shouldn't have even bought them because I really don't use a ton of single shadows. So this is good. This is good. I'll get some use out of it. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, I have pulled the products. Let's take a look at them. So this is Menage a Moi. When I ordered this, the mirror came shattered, so I just put some white sticker paper over it to keep it from shattering further. And this is the color story. How pretty is that? This one here, I'm pretty sure that was my son's fault. No, I've had it longer than that. It was my daughter's fault. She dug her fingers in there when she was just a little one. And yeah, that was it. That was it for that shadow. But the rest of these are still beautiful, and it works as a palette without that one. I actually don't remember what that shade was. It was a shimmer. It's kind of a deeper reddish shimmer. Yeah, no big loss. Okay, so this is the palette. I'm just going to swatch the shadows. So I'm going to go for this top row here, which is just these three. This has got a couple of pressed glitters in it, which aren't my favorite. Although, the Boudoir Noir, I ended up liking that more with the pressed glitters. So we'll experiment with it. And here's that top row. This is a deep burgundy matte. Swatches like a dream. This is like a sequin shade. So it's a matte with a bunch of little sparkles in them. I actually don't mind this formula. I know a lot of people really hate this type of formula, a matte with sparkle in it. If you pack it onto the lid, you can preserve the sparkle, and it has an interesting effect. If you use a fluffy brush, the sparkle kind of all flicks away, and it just performs as a matte. Then this is the pressed glitter. I don't know. I don't think there's anything really special about that pressed glitter. I don't know if I will end up using that. Okay. Oh, shoot. I need a makeup wipe. Okay, so let's do the middle row. This is Obsession. This is Confess, another pressed glitter. This is Novel. And this is After Midnight. Okay. So, Obsession, really beautiful dusty rose mauvey shade. It's the type of shade that I love. Here's that other pressed glitter. That one I think is a little prettier than this one, but again, I don't know if it's special enough that I'll actually want to go through the trouble and mess of putting on a pressed glitter. We'll see. This is Novel, that lighter pinky mauve shade. This one's got a little bit of gray in it. I like that. And this last one is After Midnight, another sequin shade. It's got little glitters in it. Okay, very pretty. Last row. This is Total Flirt. Here is the only, no, these are the two only other shimmers. With Miss You gone, these are the only two like classic shimmers I have left. This is Amour. This is Thrillist. They both feel very dry compared to other shimmers in my collection. And then this is Crave on the end here. Good brow bone highlight color for me. So, Total Flirt. This has a little bit more brown in it, kind of a pinky brown. This is Amour, a light pink shimmer shade. That's pretty. Then I have Thrillist here, kind of an icier pink shimmer. Go. And the last one is Crave, which is a pretty predictable ivory shade. Nice. Is this not my, this is my color story. This is my color story. And it, I'm wondering now if it's a little bit too close to the other palette, the palette I picked in Deck of Panning. Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how well they complement each other or if they just overlap. All right. I'm excited about that though. I really, in the past, I have really enjoyed that palette. So the other products that I pulled, oh, right. The other products I pulled were Big Ego. This is my Jelly Much eyeshadow. This one has actually started to dry out a little bit, so I might have to rehydrate this. I pulled it out to use it on one of my kids the other day. They wanted a little makeover, and it's getting a little crumbly, and some of it ended up in my carpet. Not happy about that, but you know, what do you do? I'm gonna give you a swatch of this. I am gonna have to rehydrate this thing. I'm gonna swatch it right here. It is super pretty though. I don't know if you can see the, it's got a very strong kind of azure shift. And maybe a little bit of green in there. I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if I can change my lighting here a little bit so you can see that better. I don't know if that helps at all. All right, well, this is the best I can do. All right, so that is rolling in for, and I'm gonna do, each of these is going to be for 5 uses. Again, these are not high usage goals, but honestly, the goal here is to get as much use out of as many of my ColourPop products throughout the year as possible. I want them all to get used. So that's what we're going for. Oh, one last swatch. I'll show you Princess Morebucks. Again, I usually use this on the waterline, but I usually use it over another pencil that is a little bit more opaque because the base on this, it's not quite as bright as I usually want it to be. So I actually usually, I mean, yes, it's very vivid, but it's not quite as light as I want it to be. Usually I will layer it over, this is my Moira liner in Mint. So usually when putting in my waterline, I'll put this down first, okay? Which is light enough that I almost feel like the mint doesn't always really come through. However, it provides a good base for Princess Morebucks. And I get more of that blue color. There's some shimmer in here too. I don't find that really makes a difference. So that is Princess Morebucks, and that's Princess Morebucks layered over the Moira liner in Mint. All right, and that is my ColourPan update for February. I'm excited to get some use on these products. And we will see how I go. Thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.